Hi there, are you Jimmy Arnaud?
I am.
Hi, I represent a local law firm. I'm here to serve you those papers.
From a law firm? Am I getting sued? What am I getting sued for?
Not my concern.
You won't be able to see her. She's just gonna be living with me.
Hey, sweetie.
Fine, just keep going.
Okay. I'm sorry, honey. Do we have to go that fast?
That wasn't fast.
Look, man, I'm sorry we couldn't make it.
I'm actually kind of glad you didn't.
Oh, yeah?
My mother was an extremely charitable woman. She loved Bruce Springsteen. She used to sing Thunder Road to me when I was going to sleep.
Everything go okay?
Everything went normal.
Hello and welcome to the Matt's Movie Reviews podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Pejkovic, and this is episode number 206. Out today in Australian cinemas and available in the States on DVD and video on demand is Thunder Road, a film that tells the story of a socially awkward police officer who is trying to hold his life together as his world crumbles around him piece by piece. An emotionally rich and even at times hilarious exploration into grief, depression and manhood, Thunder Road is also a prime example of how marketing for an independent production has reached a new level of innovation and creativity. Joining me now to talk about Thunder Road is the film's leading actor, writer, director, and so much more, Jim Cummings. Jim, I thank you very much for joining me today on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So this is really interesting. Thunder Road is based on a short film you made back in 2012. Now, you made quite a bit of short movies. What was it about this character and this short film that you thought would be great for a feature-length adaptation?
I made it was 2016. So I made it in 2016, and it won Sundance. And then I spent a year trying to get people to help us to make more stuff. And the majority of people just wanted to finance web things. And so instead of doing a feature, I made 9 other single-take short films. And they were all about different characters. I played a few of them, but it was mainly just similar to Thunder Road and like showcase of performance and filming the most important minutes of characters' lives. And I don't know, I always wanted to return to the character because he was so heartfelt and funny, and I don't know, like I feel like that stuff is so absent from cinema in the United States, apart from Pixar, and I was always a fan of what Chris Lilly was doing, and I was like, why can't we do something like that in the States? Why can't we do a live-action, funny, sad character study? And that became the Thunder Road feature, and I was writing it for like 2 or 3 months, and I had a script, and I was like, why don't I just do it? Like, nobody's going to give me money to do it. The film industry in the United States is so insane, and you can't get any money, even if you're famous, even if you're making stuff, it's difficult to get any financing. So we made a Kickstarter campaign and had fans of the short film come out, and we were able to raise like a quarter of the budget of the feature to do it, and then I put up the other quarter. My producer, Zach Parker, put up the other quarter, and we brought like in these other financiers from around the world who saw the Kickstarter campaign. They're like, yeah, I'll buy a percentage of that movie, and we were able to sell off percentages to be able to gap finance the rest of the movie, and then that became the movie. It was just like my buddies making a movie in Austin, Texas over 14 days, and it was like summer camp, but at the end of the summer camp, we were able to make the movie, and yeah, and now it's what it is. It's crazy. It's coming out in Australia. It's gnarly.
It's so awesome it's coming out here as well, because I've been following the progress of the film since it's had its debut at South by Southwest and won an award there. It's so cool it's out here now as well. What's really interesting about the movie is that it begins with a funeral, begins with that scene from the short movie. Now, not often in movies does a film start with a funeral. And to top it all off, in your funeral scene, during your eulogy, you break out into this dance to the song Thunder Road, Bruce Springsteen, which is meant to be a tribute to your character's mother who had just passed away. Loved the song. I was wondering, when it came to the dance itself, is that something choreographed? Is that something improvised? I mean, what did it come to doing that dance? I mean, is this something that you put time into putting together, or is it just letting the emotions take over and you're doing what you do in front of the camera?
So everything is rehearsed. Everything is choreographed down to like the facial expressions. Like, because we had such a small schedule and such a small budget, everything has to be very well choreographed so that like I have to be in the right spot at every single moment for the cameraman to be able to pull focus at the right spot. So, like, I work with a choreographer. I'm not a dancer. You might be able to tell from the movie, but I'm not a professional dancer. And we built this choreographed dance. Her name is Catherine Burns, and she's great. She works for, like, Key and Peele and, like, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, all these, like, famous TV shows that do big choreography moments. She's an Emmy winner now, but when I was working with her, it was just me and her in her, like, little studio, and we're like, let's build this dance for someone who's a police officer who would be able to do these dances. It's like a lot of little, like, gun movements and, like, stupid things that this guy would have come up with in his living room or whatever, like, as this love letter to his mom. Yeah, the dance was something that was, like, thought about pretty heavily beforehand of, you know, what's the audience's tolerance for watching this guy struggle so much. And then that became that scene, yeah.
I think the dance itself and the moments that follow afterwards really taps into two important themes about the movie, and that's humiliation and regret. I think both of those things are very important to the building of a person's character over the years. I think some people tend to look at regret and they try to dismiss it. I think it's a very healthy thing to have. And the character of Jim that you play, he always says this thing within the film, which is, let's take it back. He tries to redress things and redo things as well. When it comes to humiliation and regret, how important do you think it is in the forming not only of you as a person, but also as an artist? Because, you know, as an artist, you put yourself out there every day. How important are those two elements to you in your life?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everybody has those moments. So it's deeply humanizing. When you watch something like Charlie Chaplin or Buster Keaton, like, or Alan Partridge, like, a lot of these moments that are these connective tissue between the audience and the characters are these deeply humanizing things. I feel like everybody has regrets. Everybody looks back at their time as being a kid and thinking, man, I had no idea that my parents were just people. I always saw them as these parental figures who had all the answers and they knew what they were doing, instead of, like, a 35-year-old dude and this girl who were, like, you know, just doing their best to make ends meet. And, like, I feel like that's something that you look back on, and that's growing up in many cases. You look back, and when you become an adult and you're like, oh my God, like, I'm the same age as my mom was when she had me. I can't imagine having a kid at this age. Like, that's crazy. So I feel like you have these regrets naturally as a human being. I think humiliation is just something that's, like, a challenging thing as an actor to do, and so it's impressive for an audience to be like, Jesus Christ, this person put themselves through that. And then also it's just this kind of sad human thing that kind of goes beyond borders. Like, it's everybody understands that. Everybody understands saying something out loud that they wish they could take back, and then watching somebody try and claw that back is comedy and also drama. And so, I don't know, I love that stuff. It's so important to me, and of course that happens to me 10 times a day, I'm sure. I don't know. I feel like that's the stuff that connects to humanity in a weird way.
I agree 100% with that too. Another thing about your character is that he is a dad. He's a father, going through a divorce. He has a relationship with his daughter, played by Kendall Farr. And she's terrific in this performance. How did you come about to find Kendall and cast her in your movie?
Yeah, so we had a casting director named Vicki Boone out of Austin, Texas, and she cast Tree of Life and a bunch of other movies in Austin, but she was notorious for finding these incredible child actors. I mean, like, you know, all of these kids, Ty Sheridan, these kids who were incredible in Tree of Life. And she had this actress who had only done industrial videos named Kendall, and she was like, I think she's really good, I think she's really good. And we probably had like 30 or 40 girls come out to play Crystal, and then Kendall came in, and very quickly she was just my daughter, and she was kind of like the daughter of the rest of the crew. Like, she would come in, and she just became our mascot a little bit. Like, when we were on set, she was this funny person who was always, like, climbing on us and, like, being this, like, goofball, and also was there for us emotionally in a weird way. Like, she is unbelievable in so many ways. There was a moment where I was, like, trying to cry for the ambulance scene, and, like, we only had, like, 20 minutes to shoot the scene or whatever, and I'm trying to get in the moment, listening to Bob Dylan and, like, trying to cry, And then I'm like, have my headphones in, and there's actually photographs of this moment, but I'm like down on the ground, and I'm like trying to listen to Bob, and then she comes up, and she's wearing a stupid camo jacket, and she must have known that I wasn't able to cry, and she just came over and hugged me in this like really meaningful way. And then I was like, all right, cool, let's start shooting right now. Let's just like go for it.
Yeah.
And so like she was constantly this presence on set of like wise beyond her years, and yeah, it was a really unbelievable relationship between us and then the rest of the crew. She was just so ideal. I want to work with her all the time.
I mean, if you did, it would be fantastic, because I thought she was terrific in the role. And your character being a father, that is a big part of your character's identity. And I think what your movie does so well is that it addresses the notion of manhood, from him being a father, from his profession as a police officer, to the way he dresses, even the moustache. And you can't help but look at all these guys got the moustaches and all that as well. And I think one of the biggest things as well is also the characters, kind of like the name Thunder Road, of course, from the Bruce Springsteen song. And I'm sure the character himself, Jim, is a big Bruce Springsteen fan. When it comes to putting your character together and choosing that song, how important is that song to not only the overall theme of the movie, but also how this character has identifies himself as a man within this world?
Yeah, so that song... So the song's by Bruce Springsteen. It's about this guy trying to convince this girl to get into a car with him and leave their terrible town forever to make something of themselves. And it's this like small tapestry of the American dream, and this anthem for young people in the 70s when that song came out. And it's so iconic and I guess like memorable for that generation. Everybody loves that song, and but it's also this very masculine song. It's like this thing. It's like this sense of pride. He sees this girl as this like beautiful thing that he has to take away, and he's in charge. And it's like this. I mean, it's all these like automotive metaphors. It's this beautiful, beautiful song. And so I wanted to do something about that. I wanted to make something about tough guys and do the Alan Partridge bullshit of like this guy who has this big self-esteem and ego, and then watching that collapse all the time as a means of convincing these dudes who are trying to be tough to realize it's all of theatrics and it's all of facade, and that it's okay to have feelings, it's okay to get help and to go to therapy, or anything that guy needs. I was like, if I can show myself doing it 1,000 times wrong, some guy in the audience is going to go, oh, I'm not going to be that dumb. Like when a funeral happens in my life, I'm not going to be that bad.
Yeah. And
that's therapy. That's in many ways, it's very helpful. But yeah, to answer your question, I mean, they're both fused to me. Like, I wanted to do, and that's why it works. Like, you have 1,000 ideas for movies, but then something clicks, and you're like, oh, we can do both of these two things at the same time, and it'll be more meaningful if we do it both at the same time. Yeah, I don't know. I heard the song when I was drunk, and I was in a car ride coming back from this work event, and I was like sunburned and exhausted, and I heard the song, and I was thinking about my mom listening to it for the first time, and she left her life in Philadelphia and moved down to New Orleans. She always talks about the song as this, like, exactly how I talk about it in the eulogy. It's like anthem of people saying, fuck this, I'm going to change my life.
Yep.
And then I was like, well, fuck, why don't we do that in a new way? Why don't we have it be this guy's got to convince this girl to get in the car and run away together, except it's his daughter this time. And it's not the classical rendition of Thunder Road. It could be this beautiful ending to a movie. And I wanted to honor the song and also say something about depression and small towns, and that it's okay to just say, I'm unhappy. Let's get out of here. And that's what the song was for so many people, and I just wanted to make it new, I guess.
And it's I think it's just so beautifully done as well, just the way you went about and did so. Jim, you have your hands in so many things when it came to production of this movie. I mentioned before, you're the star, the writer, director. You also have a hand in the editing, in the composing, distribution, etc.
Everything.
When it comes, a lot of people like myself, we lead busy lives, and we always talk about time management, how to fit it all in. Can you give us some type of tips or tricks in regards to how you're managing to get all this stuff done?
I'm the wrong guy to ask you about that. It's like me and Shane Carruth. Don't ask us about that shit, man. Like I'm bad. Like I live 10 minutes from my office, and I spend late nights. I did the whole thing. I did the Lasseter thing of, I was in his camp. He made Toy Story 2, and it wasn't going to happen if he didn't make a bed under his desk and deliver it on time, and that's how you make history. I don't know. I'm a lot healthier now with that, of like work-life balance, but you kind of have to. We never had any money, so it's like we couldn't hire a marketing firm or a publicity anything. It was like, you kind of have to cut the trailer yourself. I'm an editor, so I know how to cut the trailer. And reaching out to Aphex Twin was just through Twitter to get the song for the trailer. It was like, I don't know. I never knew how the system worked, and I was like, all right, well, let's just see how we can get it to work for us. And that just meant doing a lot of work. And so, distribution-wise, it was the same thing. It was like we had all these people telling us that, we could sell the movie to these big people, but then they would own it forever. And then I was like, well, that doesn't sound like a good idea. It would only make half of the budget back. I couldn't pay the investors back. Why don't we just get on Wikipedia and search the top buyers in the world, and then we'll just reach out to them through LinkedIn or see if they have an email address on their website. And we did that, and now the movie is getting distributed in 26 territories. I don't know. I feel like from the beginning, we were always saying to ourselves that we were going to have to do everything in production, and then it just became more of that. It's like, all right, now we have to do everything, but there's great value in that. You learn how the industry works from breaking it apart and learning it inside out.
A major component, I think, to the success of your movie, especially when it comes to distribution, and I talk to a lot of independent filmmakers, and distribution is always the big thing. It's one thing to make a film, it's another thing to get it out there. A big thing of it is social media and how you use social media. You mentioned before LinkedIn. I follow you on Twitter. I love your Twitter stuff. It's always I find it very encouraging. You tell people to don't wait, do, create. When it came to you using social media, how tricky is that to use that to I'm not going to say the word push, but at least sell your film to people, to sell yourself to people, but not come across as any way of tacky or whatever. I mean, because I imagine that'd be really kind of tricky kind of territory to put your foot in.
Yeah, I mean, so two things. We were very lucky. We won Sundance with the short film and then South by Southwest with the feature. So there was already a built-in audience of people that we could, build Facebook ads for and target people that like Sundance or South by Southwest or whatever. So we had an audience before we even had an audience.
Yep.
So we're just the luckiest dudes in the world in that sense. And then for the rest of it, I don't know, man, we also came into feature filmmaking at a time when feature film finance and feature film distribution were so fucked and so broken that if we were able to just be an open book and be honest, that was revolutionary. So when we were like, okay, we're going to work with Sundance, they're going to give us this grant to be able to distribute the film, and then afterwards, we're going to show you exactly how much money we spent on everything so that you can replicate us, or anybody could possibly replicate us and get the same result that we did without the awards. I don't know. I found that to be so valuable in helping people not go through the same bullshit that we had to go through before we had the laurels to put on our thumbnails. I feel like I get outreach from a bunch of people who are like, yeah, that's great. I would love to make a movie. I want to shoot this movie in my backyard. How do I guarantee that anybody's going to even see the thing? And that's a difficult thing to analyze. If you don't have the money to hire a huge marketing company, or if you don't know about Reddit, or if you don't know about Quiver Digital and how you can self-distribute your movie for $2,000 and have it on all of these platforms, it's an educational problem where it's and so my goal has been that. It's I'm just going to make these instructional videos to show people everything that we spent years learning so that nobody has to go through the same dumb shit that we had to.
And I think a lot of people are going to get a lot from those videos as well, because like I said, I speak to a lot of indie filmmakers, and it's not a formula that's easy, that can be just that you can write on a chalkboard and follow. There's different ways to go about it, and I think the way that you, Jim, and your all the people around you have gone about it is awesome. And the film itself is awesome. I'm going to tell everyone out there right now, it's my favorite film that I've seen so far this year. It's terrific filmmaking.
Oh, man. Thanks so much, dude.
And for everyone in Australia, it's out now. So go to your local cinema, independent cinema, watch Thunder Road. Everyone listening in the States on VOD and DVD. And Jim Cummings, congratulations to you on Thunder Road. And I thank you again for talking to me today.
Thanks so much. Have me back anytime.